you are playing white and you have an extra pawn and an extra bishop, but the winning line is so small. You have to be extremely precise and creative. What is white's goal? We have to make this pawn into a queen. What about black? Black wants to try to capture this pawn as fast as they can. So if we make a random move like king d4, it's a mistake because black plays king g1 and this pawn is lost and it's a draw. So by looking at what black wants, we can eliminate white's other moves and know that we must move this bishop so that the pawn can be free to run. But the issue is there are so many bishop moves. How do you know which one is the right one? They all look so similar. The first move that I thought when I was trying to solve this was, how about we use the bishop as bait on top of just removing from the pawn's way? Bishop g2. Interesting. If they take the bishop, the pawn goes 2 steps and the king can never catch the pawn and white is winning. But if we only calculated this is just hope chess. It's not precise best chess. Black instead should play king e3 and the king will actually catch the pawn. Now you might be wondering, wait, the king catches the pawn but we can protect it with bishop f3 and white should be winning, right? No. If we had previous experience and knowledge, we know that this position is actually a theoretical draw once black reaches the g7 and h8 squares, because what's known as the stalemate draw due to the wrong color bishop. Because the king goes to h8 and this bishop can never check the king out of the corner. The moment we play pawn h7, it's a stalemate. So the best we could do is gonna be a stalemate and it's a draw. So we now know that black's goal is not just to win the pawn, but if they also get their king to g7 or h8, it's also a draw. So there are two things white must prevent. So we know that bishop g2 doesn't work. What about other bishop moves? Let's look at something like bishop e6. Okay. Now, if black plays king f3, h4, king f4, it does look like black is catching our pawn the moment we go h5. But white has an interesting concept here. Zugzwang. White can play king d4, which would actually box in the king. Our bishop and our pawn and our king are creating this magical barrier. The king can't just stay here. It has to move, but the moment it moves, our pawn just runs. So this particular position is winning for white. But this is not the only variation for black. After bishop e6, black can play the clever king e3, getting close to the pawn, but also stopping white's king. For example, after h4, not king f4, allowing king d4, but king e4. The king can step through e5 to reach the pawn. h5, king e5. The king is in the box of the pawn. And after h6, black doesn't take the bishop, but instead goes king f6. And if h7, king g7, or if king d4, king g6. And this is a draw. So bishop e6 also does not work. And then I tried bishop c8 in my mind, of course, and did the same thing. King e3, h4, king e4, h5, king e5, h6, king f6. And I was starting to get a little frustrated. But then an idea hit me out of almost nowhere. And I think I was able to get this because I visualized this position ahead of time. I thought, what if we could do a second zugzwang, creating a barrier by controlling all of this and this? Then the king would be they have to move away from that, right? How do we do that? Aha! Let's go back to the start. Do you see the move now? The only winning move for white is bishop d7. King e3, h4, king e4, h5, king e5, h6, king f6, and now the beautiful bishop e8. The only move. Creating a barrier. Black's king is in a zugzwang. They have to move somewhere. And now white promotes and wins the game.